What's going on YouTube? KG the Goose here, bringing you another review. Today we look at Wolong Fallen Dynasty. We'll take a look over some clips, some things I like, some things I didn't like. At the end, I'll tell you whether or not I think you should buy, wait, or avoid this title altogether. If you like this video, consider hitting the thumbs up and giving a subscribe. Without further ado, this is buy, wait, or avoid Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Wolong Fallen Dynasty is a historical fantasy action role-playing video game developed by Team Ninja and published by Koei Tecmo. I will have butchered that. The game was released on March 3rd, 2023 on PlayStation 4, 5, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. Wolong is yet another game in the long list of recent Souls-like games. It is also likely this will not be the last one after the success of Elden Ring. However, this is no From Software game. You play as a nameless rebel soldier who takes up arms after his village is attacked, fighting monsters and bad guys and making new friends along the way. Like Souls, you progress through this mostly linear story, placing battle flags throughout as save/heal points. You take on mini soldiers throughout each area and work your way up to a boss, sometimes with a few mini bosses in between. The fighting style itself relies on blocks, dodges, heavy and light attacks, as well as some abilities thrown into the mix. You can loot, gaining better gear, upgrade this gear, and level up your character based on how much ki, or souls, you have. Your morale, how long you've lived for, how many people you have killed, is dependent on how hard the next enemies appear. However, this barely seems to affect bosses. Like Elden Ring, there is an easier way to progress through Wolong, and that is supposed to be by taking advantage of the ultimate abilities, or Jade, you have, as well as the companions you find. However, it is good to note companions can honestly make a lot of boss fights way more difficult, extending the fight and trading for lower damage when good stun opportunities are made available. In many of the boss fights I partook in, I found it was better to just let them die and take on the boss one-on-one. While Wolong attempts to clone the successful RPG series Dark Souls, it fails to do so in most ways that matter. While both games have an obtuse and hard-to-follow story, the Souls series lore is present, while Wolong's just seems bare. Frames drop repeatedly, and while I had way fewer issues than most Steam reviews would lead you to believe, they were there, and they do affect your game. Most bosses also seem repetitive in art style, and kind of a bore. Fighting regular enemies just feels like a chore, and it is way simpler than Souls games. Sometimes, though, enemies are grouped up, and because of the map, it seems almost unfair, because they are impossible to draw apart. Stealth is simple. Enemies have an almost straight line of visibility. Many times I would just walk around enemies to stealth kill them. This game is also far from beautiful, appearing mostly subpar in almost all areas, bosses' art design included. Different types of weapons are nice, as well as armor. This game seems to shine most in armor design, as it is quite nice equipping new gear. Honestly, this is really it. I'm sorry if this review feels rushed, because honestly it's not. This game is just so mid. It fails to innovate on any level or create an interesting world, and as someone who loves Japanese art styles, that's saying something because they just had free points there. Wolong is just so lackluster and unmemorable that I don't have a whole lot to say. For ratings, we have audio at a 5 out of 10. While battling audio sounded good, the game is missing immersive music and sounds. This is the first game I have reviewed here where I had to fight the urge to listen to music while recording footage. For graphics, this scored a 6 out of 10. Graphics seemed mostly plain throughout. Areas with incredible potential to be jaw-dropping and gorgeous felt flat and rushed. Points were also deducted for frame rate issues. If I had nearly the amount of issues as other people reviewing this on Steam did, the score would be lower, but I did not. Most frame drops were low and barely noticeable, and rarely affected fights or gameplay. For story and aesthetic, this scored a 5 out of 10. The story is lackluster and uninteresting when present. It is nice to see certain characters in game, but this story did not draw me in or hook me to this game at all. Just on to the next area, on to the next boss. For playability, I scored this at a 4 out of 10. I really don't see any reason to want to play this game twice. It felt enough like a chore to play it once. Why replay Wolong when you can go do a great replay of Bloodborne, Dark Souls, or Elden Ring? With all the plainness of this game, fans of the game type may want to play it once, but I just can't see people feeding to play this again. That leaves our final score at a 20 out of 40, or a 5 out of 10. I just can't in good conscience recommend this game to literally anybody playing on PC in its current state. If you are a fan of Souls games and interested in playing something new, I would suggest waiting for a sale, maybe in the summer, snatch it for 50% off. Might not be too bad. Console, same thing. It's a little more playable, but really just not worth its price point. If you like this video, consider subscribing, consider liking. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one of Buy, Wait, or Avoid.